Hello! We've all seen this American-centric article before, I hope. The budget breakdown of a 25-year-old who makes $100,000 a year and is excellent with money. He's a little smug about it too in the picture, which takes away a little sympathy. As you can imagine, this is a horrible write-up blaming you for prices set by private entities and corporations to gouge more money out of you. Don't criticize the guy though. The person in question apparently tutors people for the MCAT, the Medical College Admissions Test, and other standardized testing, charging for his services and making decent income. Good for him. He's honest though, stating, "I'm playing life on easy mode. I'm a single guy with no dependents and I make a pretty solid income." This is true. He went to Princeton, where tuition for this year is over $86,000. Unsurprisingly, having the means to attend such institutions increases the chances of you getting into and actually attending them. And likewise, attending university increases the likelihood of much higher net lifetime earnings. Interestingly, despite the ideology, even in the article it stated that this guy doesn't actually make $100,000, but close to.
I make about $100,000 a year.
Median income in the US is around $30,000, and has been for the past 10 years, possibly longer. Unlike the incomes of shareholders and the owners of capital, which have seen several trillion transferred to them over the past few years in wealth transfers, wage theft, and all the other lovely ways the capitalist system sticks it to you. The average household income, so not one earner, is $105,000 roughly. What does this mean? That this guy is doing very, very well by American standards. Hence why the budgeting bit is ridiculous. If you're making roughly double what an average person makes, you shouldn't be needing to budget all that much, and the vast majority of Americans won't get anywhere near this amount, aside from through inflation, which is funnily enough the only metric that shows any growth for income potential of Americans, no matter how fictional. Addendum: almost all advanced Western economies have similar issues, so take this just as an example of the wealthiest one. Now let's make fun of the CNBC writer instead, and the ridiculous suggestions made in this article. Keep in mind that this is from 2018, so inflation has played a big role in recent years since blah blah all that dystopian stuff. This is the budget breakdown. Take a moment and contrast this with your daily life. There's no student loan debt repayment on here, no credit card debt, no car payments, no medications. Interesting to reflect on why these are missing. Apparently, rent in Cambridge, Massachusetts of all places, is only $825 per month. Now when I look up rent in Cambridge, Massachusetts, I see anything between $2,500 and $6,000 per month for rent. They wouldn't be doing anything cheeky in this article now, would they? They wouldn't try to bamboozle us with some nonsense, no. The cheapest apartment with a listed price I found was $1,300, and I'm pretty sure it's a shared living space, so what's going on exactly? Clee lives in a shared house with 4 roommates and 1 dog. Although he says he could technically afford a studio apartment, which goes for roughly $1,400 to $2,000 a month in Cambridge, he prefers to save and invest the extra cash instead. "I like my rent to be at a number where it doesn't actually matter to me each month," he says. Yes, you make double the national income for an average person, at a far younger age too, mind you, and you still need to share your space with 4 strangers and an animal. Already you know that this is a nonsense article. Average rent in the US according to Forbes is $1,300, nearly double what this guy is paying. And Massachusetts is the 5th most expensive state in the US, with $1,800 at the average. Over most of the US, and particularly in all the places with the jobs, rents are increasing still, and full-time minimum wage can't afford rent anywhere in the US. This is selling you a lie. Groceries, $400. Clee eats the majority— what kind of a name is Clee, by the way? Clee eats the majority of his meals at home and typically buys his groceries from Trader Joe's, a chain known for its reasonable prices. I'm not American, so I can't comment on if this is true or not, though consumer reporting seems to indicate as much, but according to various sources, average grocery prices per month for a household, not an individual, are between $400 to $1,000 per month, depending on family size. Safe to say there's something off about this figure too, but I lack the lived experience of an American to comment, so do please let me know in the comments. Back to the video in just a second. Let's hear from today's sponsor, Atlas VPN. For a lot of research that I do for my videos, I end up hitting pages that aren't available in my location. That's frustrating as you can imagine, geo-restriction really does suck. But not with Atlas VPN. For those unaware, a virtual private network makes all of your internet traffic travel through an encrypted tunnel. This way, it protects you from spying, public Wi-Fi dangers, and hides your IP address and your online activities. It even allows you to change your location for all your researching needs. Currently, Atlas VPN has more than 6 million users worldwide, and boasts the best VPN deal on the market, with the most affordable online protection plan for just under $2 per month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Go down to the description and click that link, use my code Hakeem and get a 3-year subscription for just $183 a month with 3 months free. But that's not all. You get blazing fast speeds for streaming or gaming, unlimited protection for all your devices, an inbuilt ad and malware blocker, and you'll get to save some extra cash as Atlas VPN will find you the best deals online for everything from your online subscriptions to airlines, hotels, and more. Grab this big deal because now Atlas VPN Premium is just $183 per month plus 3 months extra, and with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Protect your privacy and get the many benefits of Atlas VPN for this ridiculously low price. You can grab this deal by clicking the link in the video description below. Be quick as it's a time-limited offer. Massive thanks to Atlas VPN for the sponsorship. This will allows me to pay my editor fairly, so the support is highly appreciated. Alright, back to the video. Dining out, $250. Klee does splurge on a few meals out each month, mostly with his girlfriend. Depending on where they go, it can cost anywhere from $20 to $80 per meal. He was single before, now a girlfriend has magically entered the picture, good for him. Regardless, the average American spends $166 monthly per person on dining out. State averages are likewise around that same level, with around $160 or so per month, with a few exceptions such as Alaska and California. Meaning he spends more than the average American and more per bill as well. But I thought less avocado toast and takeout was the key to wealth, oh. Regardless, this is a frequent shaming point for people which I never understood. The vast majority aren't going to 5-star restaurants, but ordering takeout after a long day at work. I work very long hours as a physician, and sometimes find the time to cook, mostly because I enjoy cooking. But I fully understand coming home in the middle of the night, completely spent and wanting something quick and easy. Likewise, food deserts are a thing. Transportation, $130. Klee pays $81.50 for a monthly Charlie card, which lets him use subway and bus lines around Boston. I live pretty close to where I work, so I take the T, he says. I'm sorry, this guy sounds like a douche. He also spends between $40 to $50 on Lyft rides each month. This is just blatant selective reporting. Half of Americans have zero access to public transport, let alone reliable public transport. For such a car-centric society, you'd think they'd use a representative example, but of course they don't because otherwise his bullshit budget would go out the window. The US has 32 subway lines, 32. China has over 230. The US is so car dependent that it's even considered a national security issue. Have fun. Since most Americans need cars, let's calculate that cost. The average monthly cost of owning a car new is around $1,000 and slightly more than $500 for a used car. That's only running it, gas, and insurance usually. God forbid something were to happen to the car, then you can't get to work, school, or anywhere else conveniently, which would just compound your issues. This is all conveniently missing from his fantastic budget. I wonder why. Phone, $40. Klee, I still can't get over the name, is still on his family's phone plan. His part of the bill comes to $40 per month. Not American, can't comment too much, but from where I see online, it's about right depending on how many lines are connected, so you guys let me know. Everything else. Utilities, $195. Internet, $20. Health insurance, $270. House cleaner, $30. His share of the total cost. Here's where it gets juicy, or just full of shit. It's unclear what is split across and what is only his to pay because they specify his share over only the house cleaner. Regardless, according to Forbes, the average American spends $430 on utilities per month, more than double what he pays. Likewise, utility prices are just one of those things that increase in price despite inflation, just because, well, not just because, but because private interests hold vital infrastructure in a chokehold and can charge whatever they please. Even when he's splitting costs with 4 other people, the price remains ridiculous, going against the entire point of this bullshit article. For internet, that's more nonsense that's covered up by the fact that he's splitting the cost with 4 other people. The average cost monthly is between $60 and $80. About the $30 for cleaning. A house cleaner? You're 5 people living in one place. It shouldn't be difficult to keep a place clean if you all took care of your own little corner, but sure. May I remind you, this dude makes double the average person per year. It's insane to be living like this. They quote him saying, "I very rarely buy new clothes. I won't buy a car. I won't buy a bike." The new clothes thing I agree with, but this isn't a major expense for people with sense. The car and bike thing is myopic because you're not smart with money just because you have to live somewhere with some public transportation infrastructure, which many Americans lack, thanks to the nation carrying out unspeakable atrocities, constantly getting handouts from your government instead. Otherwise, you would be forced to have and maintain a car, have insurances to pay, gas, etc., etc. He saves or invests basically all the rest, apparently. The donations bit is some goodwill from his part, but is in the end a band-aid on a systemic problem not solved by charity. Plus, if he lived somewhere where he needed a car, well, all that money would have gone into maintaining the car instead. CNBC Make It asks Pamela Capelad, a certified financial planner and founder of Brunch and Budget, Jesus Christ, kill me, to comment on where Klee is doing well and how he could do even better. Overall, Kaplan thinks Klee is making smart choices, but there's always room for improvement. What more, you fucking ghoul? What else beyond being an adult sharing a room with 4 strangers and an animal, mind you, needs to be done for a guy making double the rest of the nation? What are poor people supposed to do? Poor by, like comparison, I mean. Apparently just investments, which is the only way to get ahead. The prerequisite for being wealthy under capitalism is to already be wealthy, as money begets money. If your parents are broke, your chances are pretty slim. Oh, what's this? Could it be a new challenger? Here's the budget breakdown of a 34-year-old who makes $150,000 and is excellent with money. $150,000 is impressive. It's more than triple what the average person makes, but in New York I'm doubtful how far that stretches. Let's see here. Weird immigrant to riches subtext, which isn't the norm for the vast majority of those unfortunate enough to immigrate to the US. Crypto investment luck at the advice of her brother, so something she had no role in to begin with, so basically luck. And some nonsense marketing agency delivering nothing of value to humanity besides increased consumption for makeup brands advertising on Instagram. How lovely. She helps out the homeless, though, which is good, but symptomatic treatment without political agitation and proper organizations is basically a pointless exercise in self-importance and making yourself feel good. If you truly cared, you try to remove the political causes of these people's houselessness, which, need I remind you, exists in a nation with over 15 million empty homes. Let's take a look at her budget. Oh well, would you look at that? Rent at $2,400 in New York City, of all places. More lying or lying by omission, obviously. Average rent in New York City is over $5,000 now, apparently. I don't know why people even live there. With ranges between $3,000 to $6,000 per month. The health insurance that she has is $400, which is by her own admission the cheapest insurance that's available to her. If somebody making $150,000 has to scrape by with the cheapest insurance to cover their health, that's a deep condemnation of the system someone is living in. In the US, the average cost of an inpatient hospital admission for people with large employer coverage was $24,680, an insurance she doesn't even have, so most likely, if she required a few days over at the hospital with her garbage insurance plan, she'd pay considerably more. She's one car accident or operation away from bankrupting herself, in the richest country on earth. Groceries, $200. Ilieva focuses on cooking as many meals as possible at home and spends between $80 and $100 in groceries every 2 weeks. I love to cook. I find that that's a great way to save money, she says. And even though she receives a number of free dinners from clients and brand partnerships, my goal is to eat at home at least breakfast every single day. This one weirded me out. Firstly, it's way too low, particularly in a city with fairly expensive staple goods to begin with. The number is just a little bit fishy. It's implied that she gets a few meals from clients, etc., but how often isn't said, so I'm imagining it's a regular thing, otherwise she would have mentioned. Finally, to eat at home at least breakfast every day. So she has at least one meal out daily? Unlike our buddy Klee earlier, they have no eating out budget here, so something is clearly being omitted. Transportation, again, is weirdly low for what she does. She has a Metro card, again, only 32 Metro systems in all the US, but spends $300 plus on cabs. One sentence clears it up. Because the majority of her transportation needs are for work, she's able to expense most of her costs. I wonder, are you able to expense your transportation needs to and from work? Highly doubtful. She gets a free gym membership through one of her brand partnerships, budgets between $10,000 and $15,000 of her savings for travel each year, the usual stuff not common to the vast majority of Americans, obviously. What does our buddy Pamela Kaplan say though? I'm sure you're very curious as to what thoughts she had. Apparently it's good that she always saves money. I mean, the $10,000 to $15,000 a year for travel says otherwise, but one thing our pal Kaplan is missing is the fact that 62% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, making it next to impossible to save any meaningful amounts. Doesn't mean one shouldn't try, but still, the point stands. Another article along the same vein talks about student loan repayment, which is missing from the previous two, meaning possibly they never took loans and had someone pay their way for them. Already a huge boost compared to most, allowing you to, funnily enough, be smarter with your money. The number, $150, that is being paid as student loan repayment in this other article. The US average payment, on the other hand, $500. They consistently lowball, by huge margins, all the biggest or most difficult to reduce expenses in these reports. Unsurprisingly, they're trying to paint an image that doesn't exist. Only one of these articles kinda makes sense, this one. This lady splits rent with her partner, paying $1,000 for a place costing $2,350. She spends $1,000 on food and groceries. Interesting that she isn't expensing these, despite food reviewing and writing being her literal job. Still, it's a little much and an area to scale down on, not that it would make much difference in New York City. She has student loans, though she pays half the US average a month at only $250. She has zero health insurance, like 1 out of every 10 Americans. The rest don't have much better. In conclusion, no, Americans aren't doing well. They're struggling under a financial burden of inflation on one hand, profit-seeking over even basic essentials on the other, as well as general economic stagnation, at least for the working class, who haven't seen real wages rise in half a century. Money has consistently gone to geopolitical military adventures in Iraq and Afghanistan, support for the settler colonial military occupation in Palestine, or bailing out the mega-wealthy. These are features of developed capitalism that cannot be offset in any meaningful way, with the only proper solution being to go beyond. Maybe have a think about that. That's all for today. If you enjoy what I do, then please consider supporting me on Patreon. It really does help. I'd like to thank my patrons, so thank you to Nitro Dubs, Kenny, Thomas Roberts, Nicholas, Owen Baker, T. Wood, Dr. Lemonman, Lumix, Charlie and Eric, Ultimate Turin, Daniel Ethel, The Generic Guy, Santiago Pereira, Rain, Cassandra Corvus, David Fries, Confuse M, Mariana Mastusovic, Robbie Richardson, and Masay Kadro. Thanks for watching.